Hello and welcome to this almost last Security Culture Summer Camp Hangout this year. We have today and next week left, which means that you have been working very hard and very well for a long time. And I am really proud to see you following through and still hanging with us. That says a lot about you. Um, we have been going through quite a lot of different kinds of information throughout these weeks, and this week is no different from the previous. It is a lot of lectures, readings, and assignments. For those of you who have not yet finished the last week's lectures, last week we covered the topics and activities and how they relate to the goals you set and your target audience. You also worked with the activity template, defining some activities, 3 of them if I remember correctly, that suits your defined target audiences and your goals or objectives for your program. Now, when we're talking about topics, it's a lot of things we can say about that. Last week we had Moam in here, and he shared some of his insights on how you could build and create this kind of activities. Now, I like to say that you can be creative. You can do anything you like. For example, this one I use a lot in some of my talks, and I call this my brain. Now, if you have ever been a toddler, you may remember these kind of tools. You get this stuff, and then you are supposed to find the right place to put it. And that is great use of it, but you can also use it to demonstrate something else. For example, how your brain functions when it receives information. So this yellow thing, for example, could be information, and this yellow square here with the oval hole could be how or a mental pattern in your brain. So how you interpret information arriving. So yellow information, oval, fine. It hits the right template, right pattern, and you understand the message, which is very good. But of course, sometimes there are other messages out there, like say, for example, this blue square message. And if your brain has limited amounts of mental models, or you are not focusing or concentrating or paying attention to what is happening, what is blue here as a message obviously goes through this yellow hole and inside your brain. It's no longer blue, it became yellow. And then the major question, did you understand that? No, you did not get the blue message. You made a yellow message instead. So this is one way you can use props like this. If you want to see how you can evolve on this and then explain how people can actually understand the blue message as well, you better come and attend one of my talks next time I'm around your area. Another stuff that you can use for this is, let me move my microphone over here so you actually hear what I'm saying as well. Sorry about that. Other props you can use are toys like this one. This is a game called Elevation of Privilege made by Microsoft some time ago. And the purpose here is to help developers understand and create a threat model. So building or using any kind of props is really nice. Some of you, at least one of you I know, have also been playing with some games here in Norway, where using other kind of props to make the security message come true. I am personally a big fan of doing stuff like that, being a bit crazy and go outside of the normal boundaries. But I am also a very firm believer in making sure that whatever we do, it can be fun, but first and foremost, it must hit the target. It must help you reach that audience that you defined. So it must resonate with them, and it must also further your
objectives. It must help you move or create a better culture or get that message closer to your defined targets. As long as you do that or believe you can be doing that and you know how to measure it, then go ahead, have fun, do whatever it takes. It doesn't have to be boring, you know. So that's topic last week. And this week we have been moving to the last or final part of the framework, which is called the planner. As you probably have noticed by now, if you have looked at the planner, it's a fairly basic tool. The purpose there is not to provide you with a project planning tool per se. The purpose is to bring the three elements, so the goals you have, the target audience, and activities in together and put them in a frame so you understand when to do the different things and who you need to involve when doing these things, and put it into a plan. So basically, it is a collection of the documents you have already prepared, just put into a time frame. Although we provide templates in PDF and Excel, I believe, you may, of course, use any kind of project management tool that you prefer, from your notebooks like this to Microsoft Project or Project Place or whatever other tool that you prefer. It's not about a tool, it's about the process of actually putting into a plan and then following this plan. Part of this week is also the final assessment, which is to take the 3 previous assessments and put them into this planner. Make a plan using the 12 weeks campaign and plan out when will you do the activities that you did last week, to whom are you focusing this, and to what goal are you setting out to reach. Put it in the plan, define or decide of a start date, and then just go, try it, put it into place. That's one of the promises of this summer camp, is that by the end of this, you will have a full plan ready for implementation. And your final assignment is that final plan. The dates for the final assignment is August 15th. And there are 2 reasons for that. One is that I know that you may need a little bit more than next week, at least some of you. And the second one is that as soon as we finish here next week, I leave on a week of vacation, which means I will not be able to review your assignments anyway. So it makes sense to me for me to give you a little lead time. So August 15th, and that is a fixed date if you want to receive your certificate as a certified security culture practitioner. And talking about security culture practitioner and certifications, we are currently in the process of doing something more than just providing you with a certificate. We are making now a badge which you can flash on anything you like, your LinkedIn profile or your security culture framework profile or wherever, to show off to all the world that you are becoming a certified security culture practitioner. So if you pass this training by handing over all your assignments by the due date, you will earn this badge. Hey, go you. Very well. So I think that is all the practical information that I have this week. That was very quick. Martina, it may be because I do have a glass of wine today as well. It's waiting over there so that I can chill out and go out in my garden when I finish here, while you guys go back to reading, studying, and working your assignments, I'm guessing. But before we go there, I know that there are a couple of questions coming up. So we will start with yours, Martina. So a general question concerning all that we learned during last weeks. So during the summer camp so far. As far as I remember, the choice of goals and activities in the security culture framework is not based on risk assessment. What's your opinion on using risk assessments? And of course, this is like an invitation, I guess, for me to go out there and joke a little bit. But risk assessment is serious business, so I will avoid joking. I believe that everything we do when it comes to security, including building security culture, should be based on risk assessments. I realize that we can be much better at communicating that message. I guess that for me, it's so obvious that I just totally forget talking about it. And that is a psychological mechanism that happens to all of us way too often, which is why we need people to remind us that there might be stuff that we have forgotten. So yes, you should use risk assessment to determine your goals, your directions of your security culture program. Your security culture program should be aligned to every other security activity that you do in your organization, as they play together, both to form, inform, and transform the security culture in your organization. So all your other security activities may also be considered to form, inform, and transform the culture. So always use risk assessments and update them at regular intervals. That's basically part of the first part of the security culture framework. The metrics is to tell you that you should be knowing your risks before setting out to do these things. I guess that's that question. So use them. Then number 3, for assignment 3, we use activities template. Very useful, blah, blah, blah. There is no room for a description of the activity. I would add that when using the template. Martina, you are fantastic. You pinpoint the areas where we can improve, and I love that. We will make sure that we update the template so that we will have a place for a description of the activity. I'm actually a little bit stunned that it's not there. But hopefully you will be able to find room there or add room in your own assignments to add that kind of description, because they are relevant. You may remember today what the activities are all about or why you have them there and stuff like that. But let's say that you go back and review this in a year or 2 times, then you may love yourself for adding that description today. And then your final comment today, Martini, is you wonder how the framework is specific for changing the culture and not only behavior. And that is an excellent question. Now, I think that to understand that, we need to understand the difference between culture and behavior. Behavior is, in psychology, something that I as an individual do. So it's my personal behavior, how I do things. While culture is no longer really about my personal behavior, culture is about the social behavior or behaviors. So we have several kinds of ways we adapt to a social situation, which influences our culture, our behavior in that group. And that is what we set out to do with the framework. So when we talk about changing behavior in the security culture framework, we mainly mean changing everything around so that the social behavior is changed. It's been done a lot of exercises and research on behavior change. It seems to be very difficult to change personal behavior, although there are contradictory research there as well. While it seems to have quite strong research to support the idea of changing social behavior, which means that in a group, we as individuals are much more likely to adjust to the needs, requirements, expectations of that group. And when we set out to build culture, that is exactly how we can tap into that. We can change the way the group itself looks at the requirements, the expectations of the individual, and use that knowledge, that understanding, to also force the individual into changing his social behavior. I have a separate talk actually on that topic, which is interesting also, because it is very relevant to see how we as individuals change dramatically from group to group, and then also how that group influences our behavior very, very strongly and very, very quickly, even when we are focused on or know about these mechanisms, that they are so strong, so ingrained, possibly, or most likely they are based in biology, so based on how we are born, our genes. But then, of course, the cultural side of things, how we are being brought up, also changes that a lot. But culture is about social behavior and using social as a keyword there. So changing the group dynamics and changing the expectations of the group to each individual will more or less force a change in that individual. I'm not sure if I'm rambling too much now, or if I'm still making sense. So if you still wonder, if you still want me to dig deeper into this, let me know, and I'll see if I can make this a topic for one of the security culture shows later this year. I also had a chat with, which I turned off, of course. One other student the other day here. I don't have the history, which is sad, because my mind is not so that I remember everything all the time. I should, I know. But it was basically about progressing. So since you have until August 15th to deliver your assignments, there is no big rush for you. This week we posted the final lectures, so the next week there will be no new lectures, no more reading. Everything that is part of this training is now published and available for you, so no shock next week. We will do one final hangout next week, in which you can ask more clarification questions, and of course we can all get to say goodbye and celebrate, hopefully. So as for timing, from now and until August 15th, you are self-paced. It's up to you. There may be an email or two coming out to remind you that you should be doing something, but we are all grown-up people, and we all want you to succeed with the Security Culture Practitioner certification. Not only I do that, but you do so too. So I'm fairly, I'm very confident that you will manage in time. And as always, is there anything? I am available on email, on Twitter, on a lot of different platforms. So don't be afraid of reaching out. We are here to help you. It is in our interest to see you succeed. So whatever you need, it's better to ask than not to ask. If there are no other questions, so I will give you a few more minutes to post questions, just because it takes a little while for the Google Hangout platform stuff to update itself. While you do that, I'll have a sip of my wine, Martina, and looking forward to go outside. It's still a little bit sunny here in Norway, which is nice. This week we have also updated a little bit on the website, so on the securitycultureframework.net. So the forum pages are hopefully a little bit easier to find and use. We added a login, logout button on the top, and removed the disturbing menu all the way in the top when you logged in. If you have any suggestions on how we can improve that website, both content-wise and technical, we are also very, very happy to see that. Another pitch before we finish. Should you be interested in volunteering for the Security Culture Framework, we are always interested in bringing more volunteers on board. This is an open and free project. It's something that we do because we believe it's important for the community, and we need help. It's impossible to change the world alone. We need to do it together. So that was the pitch for today. So I don't see any more questions coming in, which is, I guess, probably because everything makes perfect sense. At least I hope so. Or it could be because you are more like me and need a moment or two, or maybe an hour or two, to consider and think about what you actually want to ask, which is fine. If that's the case, save it up for next week or pop in email. With that, thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this course. And Martina, thank you for reminding me of these risk assessments. Martina has a problem with the website, which is interesting. It works perfectly here. It may be a DNS challenge. We have been moving DNS systems, so maybe it will help if you refresh your cache or delete your cache. Basically, we have moved the server from one location to another one, and then sometimes systems are not really happy with that. So sometimes that helps to clear the cache. If not, let me know if it's still there, and we will have to look into it. It works here, and as far as I can see from signup side, it works for a lot of other people. So if it's only you, then we will look into it, but please let me know. And use my email, please. All right. Thank you for today, and have a wonderful evening. Work well, work hard, and succeed. I want to give you a certificate. See you next week. Ciao, ciao. And then click the right button so we